Hello everybody, welcome back to Boxless Workshops Online. Today we're talking restaurant marketing, and I think before we get into today's session, I think it's important to know that it is critical for restaurants to be advertising online. When people look for new restaurants, when they want to go to new areas and want to visit new restaurants, they go online. They pull out their cell phones, they Google, they go on Grubhub, they go on a lot of different apps looking for new restaurants. So it's important that you as a restaurateur, as the manager of a restaurant, is putting their restaurant in places where they can find you online. So even when times are crazy, we're living in right now, we're filming this in the middle of a pandemic when restaurants are closed. I think it's important that you're out there and advertising and putting yourself online so that people can find you. So the first thing, if we look at the reasons why we want to advertise, the first is obviously to acquire new customers. So you have a set of customers that already have come to your restaurant, or you're trying to build that. Acquiring new customers is a #1 reason why you need to be online. When people are searching for restaurants, they go online. We've talked about that already. So I think acquiring new customers is your #1 reason. But it's also important to improve retention. So people come to your restaurants, they enjoy their experience, they enjoy their food, they had great customer, they had great service. What next? You want to make sure those people come back to your restaurant. So improving customer retention is another critical part of an online or digital marketing plan for restaurants. I think it's important to also highlight your service. If you go over and above and want to make sure that people are enjoying your food and are getting the best possible service, you should highlight that online so people know that that's what they're going to expect when they walk in. Next, it's also important to build advocates online. So what does that mean? I think you ever go to a friend and ask that person what their favorite Mexican restaurant is, or what's their favorite Italian restaurants? That's the same concept. We want to build online advocates. We want to make sure that when people ask other people online what their favorite restaurants are, we're building that army of people, that army of influencers who are recommending your restaurants to their friends and their audiences online. Finally, when it comes down to it, it's all about growing your restaurant. So the best place to start growing your restaurant is online. Those are some of the reasons why it's important for restaurants to really put together an aggressive and strategic marketing plan, digital marketing plan. So where does this all start out? We're going to start out at your home online. That is your website. Your website should be an extension of your restaurant online. So if your restaurant is themed, if you have a certain look in your restaurant, when someone comes to your website, they should feel like they're in that same experience online. A great example of this is Portillo's restaurants. They have a very strong theme when you walk in there. Their decor is all consistent. So whether you walk into a Portillo's in Chicago or in a suburb, it looks all the same. If you go to their restaurant online, if you go to their website, it looks identical as well. So it's important that the website is an extension of your brand, your decor, your theme online. People should be able to expect what they see online when they walk into your restaurant. Websites are also important because you own them. So if you have a presence on someone else's website, for example, Uber Eats or Grubhub or one of these other restaurant listing services, they own that. So they can change it however they want. They can go off business. They could rank you however you want, and you have absolutely no control over that. So owning your own website is critical because it's real estate that you own and that you can do whatever you want with. You can create that custom experience for your customer and make sure that they're experiencing what you want them to experience. So your website should be branded and built to look like your restaurant. It should also include your restaurant. One of the biggest mistakes, it should also include your menu. One of the biggest mistakes that we see with restaurants is that they want to upload a PDF of their menu onto their website. That's a big no-no. The reason why is because Google reads websites. and it says, okay, on this website, it's talked about veal parmesan 14 times. It's talked about pizza 27 times. So if someone is looking for pizza or veal parmesan in a certain area, Google will know that your site is a site to go to. However, Google cannot read a PDF. So if all of your keywords are locked up into a PDF and Google can't read it, the chances that Google is going to show your restaurant to someone who's looking for a specific menu item is much slimmer than if you list your menu items on the actual website. So definitely include your menu, but include it as part of your website, not as an attachment or a PDF. You should also include links to your social media on your website. So it's really important to have a social media presence, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or another platform, but to show off those links and access to those sites from your website is really important. People can then can go to your website, see your information, click over to Facebook, click over to Instagram or to one of your social media channels and really learn more about your brand, follow you, and then engage with future content. Next thing that's important on a website is your address on the bottom of every page and a Google map. And why is this important? It's easy to say my address is here. People will know where I am. I'm on the corner of this major intersection. Once again, Google is going to read your website. So if you put the Google map into your website, then they're going to know exactly where you are. They're going to know exactly how to show your content to people who are close to you, Googling specific keywords. So if Google knows that you're located on the southwest side of Chicago and someone from the southwest side of Chicago is searching for your kind of restaurant, Google is going to make that connection. It needs to know where you are. The best way to do that is to include a Google map and include your address on every page of your website. You don't need the Google map on every page, but you need your address on every page of your website. Other thing that's important for a website are photos. There's a big study done by Instagram that talks about whether or not professional photos or more natural or more organic photos are more impactful. The study said that it was more impactful to have real or organic pictures that were taken by customers, but the polished photography is good as well. It's important to have those pictures on your website. People can see what your restaurant's like, people can see what your food is like, and you can draw them in based on those photos. Finally, something that a lot of restaurants do, but it's really important, is include a link from your website to somewhere where they can leave a review. And I think one of the most important parts of a digital strategy for restaurants is your review strategy. So giving someone an opportunity to leave a positive review from your website and making it easy for them to leave that review is important. That's your website. It's really the home base for your digital marketing strategy. Well, what about the rest of your digital strategy? Is it important to be on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram? Yes, it's important to be on some of these social media platforms. What we usually tell people is the most important thing to do is to look where your potential customers are and then meet them there online. So if I think my customers are Instagram people, then it's important for my business to be on Instagram. If I think my customers are on Facebook, then it's important for me to be on Facebook. If I think my customers are on Twitter, then it's important for me to put my restaurant on Twitter. Generally speaking, it's important for a restaurant to have a Facebook presence, and it's important for a restaurant to have an Instagram presence. If I had to tell you which platforms to use for your restaurant, I would tell you to focus on those two and do your best job in those two platforms, and you will be successful. So starting out with Facebook, what's important on Facebook? It is important to regularly post content on Facebook. So post specials. People will see your content as they start following you. All right, so post your specials. Tell people that you're doing $2 Taco Tuesdays. Tell them that you're doing all-you-can-eat pasta bowls. Tell them you're giving out free dessert if you order this certain type of menu item. So it's important to put those specials on there. People will see them. They'll get attracted. They'll get excited about those opportunities, and that'll draw customers in. This is something that's really good for customer retention. We talk about retention versus acquisition. really building out and posting regularly on Facebook is part of that retention process. All right, another part of Facebook ads, or Facebook, that's critically important for restaurants is Facebook ads. Facebook has one of the most robust advertising networks ever built and made available to advertisers. So you can take your restaurant, you can put your pin on your address, and then advertise to people within a certain vicinity. So I want to make sure that anyone who's interested in pizza is seeing my restaurants when they go on their Facebook. Facebook ads are roughly about $10 per thousand. That number fluctuates based on your demographics, where you're located, the competition in your area. So that number fluctuates, but it's a good idea. And if you think about reaching 1,000 customers for $10, it's an incredible deal. So advertising on Facebook is really important. You just have to make sure that you know what you're doing. There are professionals out there who do a lot of Facebook advertising. Boxless Media is one of those. If you do need help with your Facebook ads, we can definitely help you with that. You can target people who are interested in specific types of cuisine. You can target people who have gone to your website. You can target people who have engaged with one of your Facebook posts or ads. So there's a lot of opportunity out there within the advertising network. It's definitely something to look into. It's definitely something that should be included in your digital marketing strategy. Another feature of Facebook that not many people think about, but is critically important or can be very helpful to you in growing your business, is Facebook groups. So I'm shooting this in Chicago. Every neighborhood in Chicago has a corresponding groups. You've got the moms of Beverly, you've got Garfield Ridge neighbors, you've got a lot of different groups for each neighborhood. Well, go ahead and take your weekly special and post it in that group. It's free advertising. It doesn't charge you to post in a Facebook group. You just have to join the group and make sure you're adhering to their rules. They may have a non-advertising clause. You do have to check into that, but most of the groups want content. So go ahead and take one post a week, something featuring maybe your specials or a great review, and post it in one of those Facebook groups. Once again, it's a free option for Facebook, and it's an opportunity to set yourself up apart from other restaurants, because not a lot of restaurants take advantage of that ability within Facebook. Finally, the last part of Facebook that I think is important for restaurants are Facebook reviews. Reviews are critical online when it comes to the restaurant industry. You have to be making sure that you're getting positive reviews on your online. Facebook, if I had to look at all the reviews and rate them, is probably the least important of the reviews, but you also want to make sure that if you're spending and investing time on building up a Facebook presence, you want to make sure that your presence is augmented by positive reviews. So if someone says, okay, I've read a lot about this Mexican restaurant, but everyone who's gone there has left a negative review. Well, your advertising, your marketing efforts are not going to help, because they're going to look at those reviews and say, you know what, that's a lot of advertising, but people aren't having a good experience there. So going on and making sure that you have positive reviews on your Facebook presence are really important, because they back up your advertising, they back up your marketing efforts. That's Facebook. I think Facebook is really where you need to start when it comes to restaurant marketing. Next, you have Twitter, and Twitter is an interesting platform. A lot of people will tell me that they have to have a Twitter presence when they launch their business. And I'm going to tell you, it's not that critical. The place where we see the most value in Twitter, especially when it comes to restaurants, is getting in front of critics. So if you're in a large metropolis, you're going to see that a lot of the food critics are posting their content on Twitter. So they're going online and making their recommendations. They're going online and talking about restaurants that they visited on their Twitter account. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you can put your content out to those critics. It's the fastest way to get in front of reporters and critics online. So that's really where we see the biggest use for Twitter when it comes to restaurant marketing. I told you in the beginning, 2 areas that I really want you to focus on in social media are Facebook and Instagram. We've talked about Facebook, now let's talk about Instagram. Instagram skews a little bit younger in demographics. So while Facebook, you might see an older population viewing your site, Instagram is definitely going to skew towards the younger population. So people from 18 to 40 or 18 to 45. Those are people who are on Instagram. They're looking at the pictures. They're catching up with their friends and their brands online. So really building out an Instagram presence is important. Now Instagram is all about pictures. So you can't put links in posts. You can put links in ads, but not in posts. So it's really important that you use Instagram for where it shines, and that is in pictures and videos. So post weekly, post the same schedule of specials that you're posting on Facebook, post those on Instagram too. Try something different with Instagram. Try using a story. Stories pop up on top of everyone's screen, so they're a really quick way to get in front of an audience. Try taking your phone, going into your restaurant, and asking your cook to make an item in front of you and as part of the story. There's a lot of different options you can use stories for, and it's a way that might be a little bit different than some of the other restaurants out there. So stories is a way that can differentiate you from some of your competition. The next step in digital marketing for restaurants is something that's going to be probably the one that will make the most impact, and probably the one that you're going to ask a digital marketing expert about, and that's Google. So people always want to know how to get into that first group of restaurants online. If you look over here, I'm going to show you that there are, when you Google a restaurant or you Google a type of cuisine, there's that first section of listings that people always want to get into. Well, that first listing is completely determined by 2 things: by geography and by the number and reviews. So if we look at, let's take those apart. So geography, how do we start this? We want to make sure that your website is submitted correctly to Google. So Google will eventually find your website. All right, it usually happens. Google is smart. However, if you go ahead and submit your restaurants and submit the structure of your website to Google, they're going to give you priority. So going ahead and making sure that your website is submitted to Google is the first step. That covers the geography half. The other half is reviews. So making sure that people are giving you good reviews on Google is critical. Right? People can leave Yelp reviews, people can leave Facebook reviews, people can leave Google reviews. Of all of the reviews, the most important review by far is Google. So if you're in a restaurant and you have an opportunity to ask someone to leave you a review, have them leave that review on Google. It's also the easiest ask because most people have a Gmail or a Google account. That's all you need. Not everyone has a Yelp account. So it's harder for someone to give you a Yelp review if they don't have a Yelp account. So get that Google review, and the reason why is because it's going to pop up in that first listing of restaurants. The more reviews you have, the higher you're rated. As long as you're in that geography, you're going to end up in that first listing of restaurants. So once again, the way to win at Google marketing when it comes to restaurants is making sure your website is submitted to Google properly so they know your address. Going back to the website, making sure your address is on every page, and then working on a review strategy to make sure that you have the most reviews and the best reviews of any restaurant in your area. That comes down to our last part, or the last part of our presentation today, and that is online reviews. Now, online reviews are basically written against the restaurant or the business. People generally don't go online to brag about a restaurant. What happens? Someone goes to a restaurant and the waitress drops a bowl of gravy on them. Someone goes to a restaurant, they get their pizza and it's cold. Someone goes to a restaurant and their taco has onion and cilantro and not lettuce and tomato. It's a bad situation. Those people take those situations, they go onto Google, they go onto Facebook, they go onto Yelp, and they leave a negative review. That hurts you. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you're getting enough positive reviews. So what you can do is, you can't buy reviews, you can't get a review taken off. You just basically, you're not even supposed to incentivize the solicit reviews. Ask for reviews though. All right, you can ask people to leave a review based on their experience. There's nothing wrong with that. So our advice is to, even on your receipts, in your check presenters, on your menus, ask people to give you a review after they leave their restaurant. All right, we also have a product called Revy Cards. If you're interested, you should get a hold of Boxless Media. You can leave a comment below and we'll respond. But Revy Cards is a way where you can give out a card with a link, and they can come and ask that and basically pre-qualify that review. It's a positive review. It sends them to your Google page to review. If it's something that is about a negative experience, it will allow them to email the manager and try to resolve that situation amicably before it turns into a negative review situation. So there are services like Revy Cards. We like Revy Cards the best because we built it. And we were one of the first companies to be doing that. We've been doing it for, I think, 7 years. So the Revy Card solution is a great solution, but you also want to make sure that you have some kind of review strategy where you're asking for reviews and you're soliciting people who are going to give you good reviews to be giving those. There's a lot to think about when building a strategic digital marketing plan for restaurants. We at Boxless Media, a majority of our clients are restaurants. We're very good at helping restaurants become successful. If you're interested, you need help with any of these things that we talked about today, feel free to drop us a message or leave us a comment on our video and we'll be happy to respond to you. Even if you just have questions, you want some help and guidance in terms of, I'm not really exactly sure what you mean about submitting your website to Google. We can help you with those things. Give us a call or leave us a comment and we'd be happy to help out. Thanks for tuning in to the Boxless workshops online. Come back where we are doing these classes every Tuesday and Thursday. So come on back and check out different topics. Thank you all. We'll see you soon.